Folks, this week, Military Collectors, we have a special show, and it's an honor and a privilege. I know you may think that I'm somewhere in Europe, that I'm somewhere in the aftermath of World War II. No, we're right here in the heartland of the United States, Indiana, Vincennes to be specific. We're here at the Indiana Military Museum to showcase probably one of the largest personal collections of any single individual who put all of the items that you're going to see on Military Collectors this week. He put it all on display for everyone of America to see. Again, little old Vincennes, Indiana, Jim Osborne and his personal collection, probably well over 250,000 artifacts, rolling vehicles, tanks, airplanes, you name it, it's here. And it's well done, and it is a show worth watching right here on Military Collectors.
Ready to check. Roger that.
Welcome to this week's Military Collectors, folks, and we're back here. If you didn't have a chance to see last week's show with collector Jim Osborne here in Vincennes, Indiana, we're back this week, and we brought Jim into the museum and the facility that he's actually built from scratch here. It's moved several times, but you know, Jim, welcome back to the show this week, and you know, we're now going to talk about this wonderful facility that you have here. Tell us about how, I know it's moved from basements to another facility here in Vincennes, but now it's home.
Yes.
Tell me about this museum and what you all have here.
Well, after about 25 years of being at the old location, the other end of town, outside of town, we were able to acquire this property, this Blackford Glass, former Blackford Glass property, about 14 acres, which is adjacent to our George Rogers Clark National Park, perfect location, back in 2012. So we started the development of this property, had two existing buildings, the one we're in right now, and a much larger building over here that's now our annex building. This was our first display building right here, the 6,000 square feet we're in.
So what has this, the first building here, this display building, what's covered in this building?
Well, we cover everything at the museum from the pre-Civil War period all the way to the present day. So these showcases all the way around the walls are in sequence and follow that sequence. Now that we have added the annex building, 22,000 square feet over there, we're making this more and more of a showcase building of the smaller artifacts, and the other building is going to be our what we call the virtual immersion into life-size scenes ranging from World War I trenches all the way up to the war in the Middle East.
So it's almost kind of like a mini movie set over there.
It is.
Wow.
It's realistic. It's realistic.
Well, in this building, each one of the displays you have, of course, has your signature on it. You're almost an expert curator. I mean, so when you go down through there, you've placed all these items. Not only have you collected them, but you've placed them in there.
Well, I for the most part, yeah, I kind of outlined the layout of each of the exhibits. You know, I think every military collector is a museum curator at heart. And so, you know, it's not that hard to go about doing this.
Right.
I think every collector that collects anything like this is able to do this.
Well, talk to me a little bit about the grounds outside. You've got, I mean, airframes out there. You've got armor vehicles. You've got rolling stock. So tell me a little bit about the grounds out there and some of the special things out there.
Well, on the grounds, we've got about 13 aircraft at this time. We, of course, have the USS Indianapolis submarine, and we have a Mace missile out there from the Cold War period. Out behind this building, we have a huge area where we use, which we use for our reenactments. For World War I, World War II, we've got over 100 yards of trenches and dugouts out there and bleachers set up. So when we have these special events, people can come and watch the battles and the reenactments, whether it's Civil War, World War I, World War II. So we have a lot of outdoor space, and it's filling up.
Well, you also have facilities here that you've kind of moved around, that you store future items that are going to be coming online in the future.
Yeah, 2 years ago we had to construct another facility, another building behind us to accommodate the restored items, some of the non-restored items, and also a restoration shop.
Wow. Well, I know folks have watched you stand there holding this item here. Tell me a little bit about this, because it has special meaning to you.
Well, this is where the collection all began, and it's kind of my sentimental favorite. It's an 1831 Harpers Ferry Flintlock, and this is something my father brought home and gave to me when I was about 7 or 8 years old. I remember someone owed him $30, and they traded it off in this Harpers Ferry instead. And so I've always been a sentimental piece of mine, and this is where the collection really began.
Well, and all of these vehicles that you have here, I mean, gosh, I can't even count them. And I won't even put you on the spot on how many you have here.
I've lost count too.
Yeah, there's probably well over 100, 200 probably rolling around here. But what was the first rolling vehicle that you collected?
First rolling vehicle was a Jeep, a World War II Jeep, which is behind us here, and then also about the same time acquired a World War I German cannon.
Wow.
Which is also here in this building still. And so those were the first big items, and then of course it started getting bigger and bigger after that.
Well, as your travels here, and I'm going to sit back here, I know it's one item here that I know you want to talk about before we go, but this has some special meaning to you as well.
Yes, this is one of my favorite items. This came from San Mariglis, from the Mirador River, which is just south of San Mariglis, close to where General Gavin landed on D-Day. This is an M1 Garand that came out of the river there back in the 90s, and a friend of mine who lives there in San Mariglis dredged this up along with another one and a 60mm mortar, so he sent it back with me for the museum back then. And what's interesting, of course, you can see how pitted and how worm-eaten it is, but after all of that,
it was built to last.
It still had grease and oil in it and could still conk and function. Can you believe that? And been in the river all that time. And of course, we'll never know what the outcome was for the soldier that carried this. We have no idea who he was, whether he survived or not, but we know that this went into the river there, so he probably did too, and hopefully he got out.
Could have been a member of the 82nd or the 101st, I
Either
suppose.
one, yeah, could have been, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for being back on the show this week and talking about your beautiful museum here. And folks, listen, stay tuned because Jim's going to take us around. We've got more to see here at the Indiana Military Museum, right downtown Vincennes, Indiana. And listen, military collectors, I just tell you, we're never, ever going to cease to surprise you what we're going to show you next. So stay tuned, won't you? We're going to have more great things to show you on this week's Military Collectors.
If you have missed any past episodes of Military Collectors, be sure to go online at militarycollectorstv.com. And you can see not only past episodes, but also read in-depth features on the people and their passion of their military collections.
Nestled in the western part of South Carolina is the Old 96 District, comprised of Abbeville, Edgefield, Greenwood, Lawrence, and McCormick counties. This region is rich in fishing, hunting, craft work, and military history. The Old 96 District pays tribute to military history with several Revolutionary and Civil War attractions. Along with history, local businesses offer anything from artwork, breweries, pottery, and homemade soap. Make sure you discover the undiscovered wonders of the Old 96 District of South Carolina.
Let's go! Let's go!
I'm a little bit country.
Oh, and I'm a little bit rock and roll.
I'm a little bit of Memphis and Nashville.
With a little bit of Motown in my soul. I don't know if it's good or bad.
But I know I love it so.
With a little bit of country, and a little bit of rock and roll.
The all-new Chevy Silverado. It's a little bit country, and it's a little bit rock and roll.
For 50 years, Ranger Boats has been paying tribute to America's armed forces and their families, not only in the United States, but those men and women who serve all over the world. At Ranger Boats, we appreciate the dedication that these men and women do each and every day, protecting and preserving the very foundations of our freedom. Ranger Boats wants to give back to America's real heroes with our Operation Troop Salute program. For more information, visit rangerboats.com today.
Unforgettable memories begin the moment you pick up your first Browning. With unmatched security, fire protection, and storage options, Browning will be with you through a lifetime, protecting your guns and all the cherished memories you make with them. Keep your Browning memories safe.
31, ready to check. Roger that.
Well, I want to talk specifically here at the museum in Vincennes, Indiana with Jim Osborne, specifically about a special event that he has, a tribute to the World War II veterans every year. And, you know, Jim, we have a significant artifact back here that you've amassed. Tell me a little bit about this, because this is unique.
Yeah, Bob, this is a World War II LCVP Higgins boat. This is one of only 13 World War II Higgins boats that are still left intact out of almost 23,000 that were built. And so we're very, very proud to have this. We've spent 4 years, 5 years almost, restoring this. And so it's one of our main showpieces, because these were so important, as you know, in Normandy, the landings of D-Day, all through the Pacific, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, all of the landings there. This is what got the troops ashore.
Well, you know, the detail that you have put on these displays, sound effects and those sorts of things, really, it so much adds to the experience, especially during the September event. Now, tell me a little bit about some of the other unique features. I see the World War II barracks. You've got the household, what it was like sitting there listening to the radio when the announcement was made by Roosevelt. I mean, that's visionary.
Well, we've tried to make this building, the one we're in here, which we call the annex, the total immersion building, where you feel like you are there on the spot, whether it's the Higgins boat behind us, or the church, or the barracks, or the home front scene that you referred to, so that a person can walk in here and just feel like, wow, I'm right here. You can walk past the home front and see how the folks were living in 1941 at the time of Pearl Harbor. You see the kitchen, the living room, the dining room, and what all was taking place there when they heard Roosevelt make the announcement about Pearl Harbor. The same thing with the barracks. You see the early World War II barracks here. That's our original barracks that came from just across the river here at George Field. And again, you see the use of each of these rooms in the barracks, you know, whether it's the infirmary or if it's the bunks and so forth. So you can get that feeling. And that's the same thing we're going to do with the World War I trench. As soon as we're done, you can walk through a full World War I trench here in this building and get the full effect of how that was.
Well, you know, Jim, I think one thing that is special here, from the history of our country as through conflict, I know your emphasis, and you love the World War II history, because again, you're a 1945 World War II baby, okay? But you have made special efforts to talk about from the inception of the country all the way through present day, through the war on terrorism. And I think that's what makes this place so complete. And I just have to applaud you for that, because again, from the Normandy invasion to the airdrops and all the different artifacts that you put together here, I mean, that is so visionary.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, we've tried to make this a very comprehensive collection from beginning to end. So from the pre-Revolutionary War days right up to the present day in the Middle East, this museum covers all of those topics. And so I think that's real important, of course, for our visitors to not just focus on, although we have a beautiful World War II collection, a fantastic one, that there's so much more here to see. And I think we're one of the best 10 comprehensive collections in the whole country.
Well, tell me just briefly about your September event, your salute to World War II veterans. You have that every year.
Yes.
What can folks expect when they come here over Labor Day?
Our annual Labor Day weekend event, to salute to the veterans of World War II. This will be our 12th year. We have 2 complete battle reenactments each day. There will be all kinds of reenactors representing British, French, German, American troops, even some Japanese, and we'll have vendors, all kinds of vendors selling things, of course food vendors, and there we'll have stage shows. We'll have the Andrews sisters on stage, and the surprise usually is that we'll have a few flyovers from warbirds and so forth. So it's a big weekend, a fantastic weekend to bring the whole family out, and it's other than a parking fee of $3 to park on our property, it's free. Everything outdoors is free. So it's a great event and attended by thousands, and so welcome everyone.
If somebody wants to come and they want to find out about the event, can they log on to your website?
Yes,
tell them how they can do that.
Our website will do that, indianamilitarymuseum.com, and I think .org will also bring it up, and the website will tell them all about it.
And we'll also have it on militarytv.com. Well, listen, I've got to pick your brain some more, okay? But first, folks, listen, when Military Collectors comes back, we're going to talk to some very special partners that Jim has amassed and put together. He now has a corporation that manages and helps him take care of his collection. These special guys are on the board of directors, and so we're going to hear from them and their perspective of what it's like not to collect this stuff, but to manage it and to make sure that it's showcased for others to see from now until, well, all into the future of history.
If you are interested in preserving and collecting military vehicles, whether you're a military veteran or just have a love for military vehicles in general, then you may be interested in joining the Military Vehicle Preservation Association. The MVPA is dedicated to providing an international organization for military vehicle enthusiasts. For more information and all the benefits a member receives with joining the Military Vehicle Preservation Association, go online at mvpa.org. Every soldier's training is the same, but their story is their own. From the fields of Gettysburg to the tanks rolling across the sands of Kuwait, the story of the mounted soldier is a story of mobility, speed, and the historic power to shift the mighty tides of war. The National Armor and Cavalry Heritage Foundation is asking for your help in keeping the legacy of the United States Armor and Cavalry and telling the stories for many years to come.
Take a moment to think about the food you buy and eat. Is it fresh? I mean really fresh. Or is it shipped from a grower hundreds or even thousands of miles away? Well, here in South Carolina, we celebrate fresh, locally grown food and unforgettable meals with family and friends. So, choose food that's rooted right here. Choose certified SC grown. It's a matter of taste.
I'm a little bit country.
Oh, and I'm a little bit rock and roll.
I'm a little bit of Memphis and Nashville.
With a little bit of Motown in my soul. I don't know if it's good or bad.
But I know I love it so.
With a little bit of country, a little bit of rock and roll.
The all-new Chevy Silverado. It's a little bit country, and it's a little bit rock and roll.
31, ready to check. Roger that.
Welcome back to our show. Well, you know, military museums come and go, but this one here in Vincennes, Indiana, the Indiana Military Museum, has some special members, volunteers, and they have an organization that's put together that helps Jim continue on his legacy. And two of those corporate board members are joining me today. I have George Rehnquist right here from Princeton, Indiana, a former attorney and now retired, and David Skinner, a financial advisor here in Vincennes. And these two guys have honored our presence today because they've been able to come down and talk a little bit about Jim's collection and what they do for the Indiana Military Museum. And guys, I really want to thank you both for being on the show today. And you know, I have to just ask you these types of questions, but what's it mean to be a part of the board of this massive collection?
Well, I think it's a great honor for us. It's exciting. It's fun and educational to watch something develop like this from a very small start. And Jim is to be highly credited for doing that. It's really his museum. We help as a board of directors, but he's the one that really puts it together.
Well, you know, David, I will tell you, from you growing up here in Vincennes and being a member of the community, how important is this museum to the community?
Well, it's hugely gratifying, and you know, we've got this collection that represents the history of our military, and this collection draws in thousands of tourists a year. I'm very involved with tourism here in addition to the museum, and everyone gets to enjoy this extraordinary collection. And all the volunteers, the hundreds of volunteers that help this place work, are, I know personally, very gratified to help save this important part of our history, and thank all the former military people that made this all possible.
Well, I know that you guys host various events for different stages of wars throughout the year. Tell me a little bit about those events and special events that you host right here at the museum.
Well, we have a whole series of events. We have a Vietnam event, we have a World War I event, with quite a few visitors, some reenactors, and a lot of the equipment from those wars are on display. But our big event, and our event that's been around for many years, is a World War II event. And we have thousands of visitors that come to town. We have reenactors, we have battles out back on all the property we have. a lot of people dressed up in uniform. And we even have former World War II vets that give presentations and tell stories about some of the heroic things that they were involved in during that great war.
Well, George, you as an avid collector yourself, what do you enjoy collecting?
Well, I collect World War II, and really Jim is the one who started me on this. So I have to give him a lot of credit, not only for his collection, but for mine as well. And I have some military vehicles, but nothing like this. This is outstanding.
Well, I will tell you, David, and you, do you love to collect?
No, I do not collect. I mean, I collect Coca-Cola stuff, but nothing as sacred as this incredible military collection, which is so important.
Well, it's so important with gentlemen and individuals like you to help support organizations like this. And I know that it's not easy. I know it takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication to do that. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time today to come and be on our show to talk about this wonderful man that we all know and love, Jim Osborne, and his collection. And I know you guys will continue with the rest of the board of directors because there have been some special ones that I understand have been on the board. And there are many that sit with you guys now that will continue this legacy. And I just want to wish both of you Godspeed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on our show this week.
Thank you.
And with that, folks, stay tuned when we come back. Military Collectors is going to have Jim Osborne talk about one of the special pieces in his collection and here at the Indiana Military Museum. And we're going to talk about a special event that happens every year.
If you have missed any past episodes of Military Collectors, be sure to go online at militarycollectorstv.com. And you can see not only past episodes, but also read in-depth features on the people and their passion of their military collections.
For 50 years, Ranger Boats has been paying tribute to America's armed forces and their families, not only in the United States, but those men and women who serve all over the world. At Ranger Boats, we appreciate the dedication that these men and women do each and every day, protecting and preserving the very foundations of our freedom. Ranger Boats wants to give back to America's real heroes with our Operation Troop Salute program. For more information, visit rangerboats.com today. Nestled in the western part of South Carolina is the Old 96 District, comprised of Abbeville, Edgefield, Greenwood, Lawrence, and McCormick counties. This region is rich in fishing, hunting, craft work, and military history. The Old 96 District pays tribute to military history with several Revolutionary and Civil War attractions. Along with history, local businesses offer anything from artwork, breweries, pottery, and homemade soap. Make sure you discover the undiscovered wonders of the Old 96 District of South Carolina.
Every soldier's training is the same, but their story is their own. From the fields of Gettysburg to the tanks rolling across the sands of Kuwait, the story of the mounted soldier is a story of mobility, speed, and the historic power to shift the mighty tides of war. The National Armor and Cavalry Heritage Foundation is asking for your help in keeping the legacy of the United States Armor and Cavalry and telling the stories for many years to come. If you are interested in preserving and collecting military vehicles, whether you're a military veteran or just have a love for military vehicles in general, then you may be interested in joining the Military Vehicle Preservation Association. The MVPA is dedicated to providing an international organization for military vehicle enthusiasts. For more information and all the benefits a member receives with joining the Military Vehicle Preservation Association, go online at mvpa.org.
31, ready and check. Roger that.
Well, welcome back. You know, with all of you restoration buffs out there, we're now in the facility here at the Indiana Military Museum with Jim. This is a brand new building that's added on to this 14-acre complex. This is where all of the steel, the paint, the nuts, the bolts, the volunteers come together to restore future items for the floor over there, Jim. So tell me a little bit about this new facility and what all you guys have got going on over here.
Well, the facility is just as you described it. It's helped to provide us a roof over everything that we're restoring so that you don't put it back out in the weather. And if we don't get it on exhibit, at least we have a place to keep it. We keep it for the reenactments and the parades and so forth. But it's also our restoration facility, so we work on everything over here and make sure it's running, or make sure that we've got a project to restore. We have probably half a dozen in here right now, restoration projects, and this is where we do it.
Well, you know, some of the unique items that you have, that you got coming online, tell me a little bit about that, because, I mean, I see you have some WCs back there, and of course, you've got some armor vehicles back there as well.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about what you have.
Well, a couple of projects coming on, as you say, the WC Dodge series, we've got some restorations to do there. We've also got a script Jeep right behind us here, and an M38 Jeep that we're working on, and we've got a German half-track 251 that will start next year that's still sitting out in the boneyard, as well as a Marmon Harrington tank. So we've got a lot on the list coming up.
Well, you know, Jim, I tell you, one of the key pieces is having those volunteers who turn wrenches, who run the sanders and spray all the paint. How valuable is that to an organization like the Indiana Military Museum?
It couldn't exist without it. We have to have those people, or we wouldn't be making any headway whatsoever.
Well, you know, one of the key things that I stress in doing this show as I go around the country, one of the most expensive things is the restoration process of these vehicles. I mean, yeah, they're expensive to acquire, but the man hours that it takes, I mean, you have to really have patience and a lot of money, because a lot of folks in restoration facilities charge anywhere from $100 to $125 an hour, and they're keeping the time clock. So you can very well invest 75 to 100 hours on a Jeep.
Oh, that's easily done, yeah. If you have to go out and pay for restorations, it can be very expensive. So a lot of times, if you don't have a facility for the restoration, and you don't have the people that are willing to work on it for restoration, then you're going to have to go out and buy something, and usually you get what you pay for. And so, you know, if you've got an expensive Jeep out there, you're probably going to get one that runs. Right. And if you get an inexpensive one, it probably doesn't run.
Well, I have to ask you before we go, and it's just been a wonderful visit here in the heartland of the United States in Indiana. What do you have your eye on out there that you would like to find, or that you may already find that you're going to go get?
I can think of a few things. We're always looking for World War II aircraft, non-flyable aircraft, something that can be static exhibit. We're still looking for those kind of pieces. We'd like to have an A-10 Warthog, if we could get a sponsor for one of those. And we're looking for any type of World War II vehicle that we don't have already. And so there's some of those out there that we don't have.
Well, Jim, we've put out the call, okay? And you know, folks may either get a hold of me or they can get a hold of you. Sure. But I will tell you, this is the best kept secret, not only I think in the Midwest, but I think it's one of those unsung places that folks need to know about right here in the heart of Indiana in Vincennes, and they owe it all to you. All right. And thank you so much for being on our show this week. I wish you Godspeed on that next great thing. Call me, okay? Okay. And if you've got something out there that just absolutely excites you, we'll come and Military Collectors will showcase it for you. So with that, and folks, that's our show for this week, and we really appreciate you all looking in. The Indiana Military Museum right here in Vincennes, Indiana. Log on to militarycollectorstv.com and they'll take you to the site there. You can come down, special events. You can just come down to view this wonderful 14-acre facility. The kids will enjoy it. The whole family will come. And I know they will not regret the trip down here to the great state of Indiana. With that, we'll see you next time on another episode of Military Collectors.